Okay, and for those of you that are still on the line with us, we've got some additional great content coming up in the next couple of minutes here. We're going to continue just a minute with our next panel. And so there are a few new faces that I'd like to welcome to the Growth in Commerce stage here at DEPT Commerce Day. For those of you who have just dialed in, my name is Diana Gordon. I'm an SVP of E-commerce and Marketplace Strategies at 3Q DEPT. And then joining me here, we have all right, give me just a second. We're moving on to our next speakers. We've got Ulrike and Sarah from CA, who are going to be chatting in just a moment with my colleague Serina. And their conversation, they'll be talking about what CNA has done to propel digital growth and how is that powered by living a digital product strategy. Ulrike, Serina, and Sarah, do we have you all in the room?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, welcome.
Hi, everyone.
Great, I will turn it over to you all to kick it off when you're ready.
Will do. Thanks, everyone, for dialing in today. I'm so happy to be here with you all and with my great almost colleagues, I could say, because we've been closely working together for over a year now, Sarah and Ulrike from CNA. We'll talk about their digital growth journey at CNA and about living product strategy and what that actually means. I'm Serina. I'm a strategy and innovation lead at DEPT in Hamburg. And for all of you, we've been working closely with not just the two of them here in the call, but with the big team behind on the product level on bringing strategy to life. And before we get started, I'd like to maybe introduce who we are, where you guys come from, give a bit of background of where CNA comes from and about your roles. Ulrike, would you go first?
Yes, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Ulrike Otto. I'm here at CNA, head of digital experience. To just give you a little bit of background, what digital experience means in the reference to CNA, it's all about designing and developing our consumer-facing digital features and functionalities for our digital channels with a strong focus on web shop and app. And as probably not everyone here knows, CNA, we are an omni-channel value fashion retailer. We operate in 17 countries and have currently around about 1,300 stores. That was briefly about me, and I hand over to Sarah.
Thank you. So I'll continue with the introductions. My name's Sarah Pieper, and I'm the lead for digital product at CNA. I work together with Ulrike and together with my team of awesome product rock stars, we're responsible for developing new products for our web shop and app. We're talking today about strategy, so I think it's fair to say that we're still in the early stages of our strategy journey, but I think like everything in life, we've actually started, and that's the most important thing.
So true, Sarah. Let's talk about digital products at CNA for a second. So what are they? Give everyone a bit of an idea.
I think that's a good question. It's something that we were debating internally in a meeting a couple of weeks ago. So what's the difference between a product and a feature? I think that the main difference is that a digital product is something that's creating value, whereas a feature, it might need to be bundled with other features in order for it to create that value. And we can see that that can happen in a couple of ways. So firstly, it can create value for the user, and it generally does that by delivering a benefit or helping to solve a concrete problem. And secondly, a digital product creates value for the company. So the most common way is that it's generating revenue, but it could also deliver value indirectly by contributing to some kind of non-monetary objective. So an example of this could be brand reputation. Before we move on, I should add that as we're talking about digital products, software is really the critical foundation. So for us at CNA, a digital product is our web shop or the app.
Right. So now when it comes to strategy, a lot of levels of strategy come to mind, right? Within an organization like yours, those strategy layers need to be interlinked in order to really create an impact for consumers and the business, move it forward. And strategy can span everything from company strategy, sometimes to digital strategy, until product strategy. So before that, strategy actually flows into product delivery, where we actually build an experience, right? So let's talk about how you work with strategy at CNA. Ulrike, would you give us a bit of an insight in that?
Yes, happy to do that. We are really lucky. We have all those 3 strategies that you are mentioning, Serina, in place here in the company. So we have a company strategy, a digital strategy, and a digital product strategy. Starting with the company strategy, it defines more or less the overall direction of where we as a company, CNA, want to go based on the long-term vision we have and our high-level goals. And also the company strategy outlines strong ambition towards digital growth, which is good for us. Then we have the digital strategy, which is a plan that describes the digital initiatives we would like to try to achieve, coming from the company goals. And it also tells us how we leverage growth in our digital sales channel. And these 2 strategies are then the base for our digital product strategies, which we have in place for our CNA webshop and the app. And Sarah, do you want to give us some words about what we are doing around product strategy?
Yes, I will do. So our digital product strategy is really focused on actual consumer needs. It has all of the inputs that Ulrike just mentioned from our company and digital strategies. I think, though, that the difference between what we have in our digital product strategy and any type of corporate strategy is that our digital product strategy is providing guidance. So it helps us to prioritize what we're doing with our web shop and app. And this is important for me because it helps to create that focus that we need for the teams that are working with the strategy on a day-to-day basis to create really compelling digital experiences. After all, I guess these are the people that are bringing it to life.
So true. And can you describe to everyone here what a digital product strategy consists of and why you think, or we think, you need it?
Yes, maybe I can take this. We can say the core of our strategies are the value propositions to our users. And these value propositions are summarized in a really powerful and ambitious vision statements for the webshop and the app. So this vision is really the key for us. It guides our teams in the way how they do their daily work. And what I think is really important is that it also answers the question, where do we want to be in 3 years from now? From that vision that we have defined, we derived so-called strategic product goals. Those product goals then outline how we want to achieve that vision. And the good thing about the goals is also that they are measurable and also aligned with our overall companies and digital goals. And then from those goals, we have derived what we call strategic initiatives. And the initiatives then bundle the most important consumer jobs to be done. And all those initiatives are also customer-centric or consumer-centric based on data. So by that, we really want to make sure that we develop the webshop and the app based on, so to say, real user needs. And when you ask why do we feel it's needed, as I said before, the digital product strategies really guide us and give us and the team a clear direction. And it's also a way to empower the teams as we are providing the guardrails.
I think that's right. So it provides a single shared framework. And it's something that clearly defines our direction. And I like to think of it as laying out a playground or where we want to play for the cross-functional teams that work on the web shop and app. And just to echo what Ulrike said, I think that it's really some kind of basic that you need to have in place if you want to empower your teams and improve alignment. So we're actually using our digital product strategy also as a comms tool. We use it when we're co-planning product and service ideas with our internal stakeholders, and it can also be used as an innovation motor for the future.
That's right. So with your product strategy, essentially, you want to navigate the jungle of ifs and coulds, right? How does that go, Sarah?
Yeah, I think there's so many things that we could be building, and it's important, and we want to move away from being a feature factory. So we don't want to be a team that's building everything and anything that stakeholders drop at our doorstep. So we can use our initiatives to make decisions about what we should work on for our users. And I think this is really important. It can guide us on the things that we don't want to do or shouldn't be doing, maybe at that certain point in time. So like any company, I guess, we're not short of ideas, but we need to keep that value mindset. And the strategy mechanism that we've created together lets us do that. So we can, it brings us focus, and it helps us to prioritize based on value versus effort. And it makes sure that we're really building things that our consumers love.
Right. Love that. Let's give everyone a bit of more insight into how that strategy is practiced at CNA, how we do it together and with the teams. Ulrike, can you give us a bit more insight in that?
Of course, yes. What I feel is really important is that our strategy is a living framework. So all of us know our environment, especially now, is really changing constantly. We, as a team, and also, of course, as a company, we regularly have to inform and validate ourselves against the changing environment. And we've defined that living agile strategy based on principles that we also use. And those principles then connect us to routines that shape the course of the strategy as it goes. So, for example, we have on a regular basis, we have cross-functional strategy meetings where we invite several roles into a room and discuss changing demands and needs. For example, in those meetings, we look at consumer expectations, but also new industry trends. And we then have the ability to course correct on choices that we made before if we feel that is necessary. And in order to factor also new consumer expectations on a regular basis, we use the jobs to be done framework. So by this, we can look at functional, but also on the emotional needs of our users.
That's awesome. I love working that way with you. And if we look at bringing that strategy to life, can you explain how it works for the product teams and how you know that you're working on the right things, that you're on track with the web shop and with the app, Sarah?
Good question. So I think we've been talking quite theoretically until now. So in practice, we've got our product strategy nested across several cross-functional squads. So each squad is focusing on creating value for a distinct phase of the customer journey. So from the first orientation that a consumer has with CNA through to purchase and loyalty and beyond. So our product teams and the squads are using the digital strategy really to prioritize their work and also as a basis for the discoveries that they're working on. And here it's our initiatives and in particular the jobs to be done that are really important in guiding them. To answer the second part of your question, how do we know if we're on the right track? So you'll also know, Serina, it was quite an intense process to develop our product strategy really collaboratively with all of the teams, and it took some months. So if you're in a similar position, you're going to want to make sure that your strategy is actually a useful tool. There's no point in spending all of that time in creating something and then locking it away, never to look at it again. So we know that it's doing its job when, for example, we can see the strategy being used to argue a case for investment, or conversely for rejecting certain feature ideas that aren't promising enough to create value for users. And I think it's a nice antidote, but finally you're really going to know that the product strategy is firmly embedded in hearts and minds when you can hear people talking about strategic priorities without having to check their notes or look at a PowerPoint.
That's right. And we see in our daily work together that the product team really appreciates having that longer term direction to guide them ideally, right? On what to work on and essentially why to work on it, right? Because we all want to really create impact that, that brings value. So how often should a product strategy change, Ulrike?
Currently, with our digital product strategy, we look at or until 2024. And as I mentioned before, as it is in a living framework, we differentiate between a stable core and more dynamic parts of that strategy. So from my point of view, the vision should be stable, but the goals I was explaining earlier might be adapted on based on new informations that we get. And then the third level, the initiatives from my point of view are the most flexible, especially when it comes to prioritizing them or reprioritizing them. So here at DEPT, I can say also, Serina, you as a strategist have been a really big support for us. I really like that we continuously revisit the strategy, that we adapt those dynamical parts of our strategy, and that we, based on external trends, or sometimes also when something comes up internally, for example, business strategic shifts, are looking into that together. But as you know, if it feels like everything is changing too often, I feel it would be a sign that the strategy doesn't have a stable enough core, and we would like to avoid that. Just to give you a recent impulse that we are currently looking at here at C&A is that we have a new C&A target consumer segmentation. So as you can imagine, having a new segmentation for the whole business is more or less really disruptive, as we are focusing now on a new target group. So currently, together with you, Serina, and the teams, we are looking into that and investigate on how we will and can translate that new direction into our webshop and the app strategy.
Yeah, that's a good point about the consumer segmentation. Maybe I can expand on that. So the recent changes meant that we had to do a thorough sense check of our webshop and app product strategies. So based on all of the new data and the insights that we've gained, we ran a series of workshops to see if we were still focusing on the right consumer needs, and we really challenged our vision and our strategic goals. But that kind of change, where we're really touching upon the core parts, that's supposed to be more of an exception rather than the rule. So we're now at a place where our core strategy parts are set more or less in stone, and they need to be kept stable, and it should only now be the dynamic elements like our consumer focused initiatives that might need to change or be prioritized slightly differently, and that's to ensure that we carry on creating the most value for our users and for CNA as a business.
Oh, that sums it up so well. What we take away is that strategy is a journey, right? That we're living. It's not an event that we do once. Thanks, Sarah and Ulrike, for sharing your takes on digital product strategy at CNA with everyone here. It's so true that giving your webshop and app a strategic direction is so crucial, especially when you look to grow and succeed with digital experience. So so that your teams can navigate that jungle of possibilities and focus on creating those solutions that bring the highest value, right? Thank you very much for coming here today. It's been a great pleasure sharing, the things we work on together. And I'd like to ask if there's any questions out there to Ulrike or to Sarah.
Serina, we have one in the chat. If you look at how you envision the future, what is there still to optimize?
Who would like to take it? There's probably a lot, but as we're on a journey, what are your things that you've got on the list, Ulrike?
Yeah, we of course have a huge backlog and a lot of things we want to optimize, especially as we are now started with our strategy and the goals, the strategic goals I was talking about. There are big chunks which we have ahead of us as a fashion retailer. Also, as we believe we still have to catch up a little bit in certain areas. So there is a lot for us on the plate and to come. Currently, we are in huge replatforming. Bringing the shop on a new platform, on a new architecture. So this is our current focus, to lay the foundation. And then, of course, we want to match whatever is coming next then to our digital strategy in order to make sure that we really cater the needs of the users that we are currently aware of as part of the frameworks we are using.
Right. There's another really interesting and very, very substantial question. With ever evolving strategies, how do you keep key stakeholders involved and on board? Sarah?
So I think communication is key. And one of the things also that I learned from you, Serina, is that you can't over communicate a strategy. And we have different layers of communication. So all of the product managers, for example, have identified key stakeholders within the business that are really important for the work that they're doing and for their squad. They need to be communicating our strategy and using it as a basis for discussion. But also at a senior management level, we also are regularly communicating the strategy, and even in presentations where we're updating, and we're working on one at the moment, we also include our strategic goals and our strategic vision so that we're always reinforcing that message. And then I think with the big changes that have taken place, it depends to what extent. We also did a series of workshops, and it's also important to invite your stakeholders to take part in such workshops so that they can be involved from the very beginning.
Yes, ideally already in product discovery, right? And to really get them intertwined with the team and with the strategic directions, but necessarily with the problems that are underlying it, right? So that we're looking to solve.
And maybe to add on that, I feel since we have the strategy, it also really helps us to communicate and collaborate with the stakeholders, because we can do much better expectation management and tell them also what is ahead. Since we are much more precise with the strategic goals now, and we know also much better what we want to do and why we want to do it, so we can give better outlooks and tell or do much better storytelling around what is coming when approximately. And so they know the scope and they know what to expect out of the team.
And maybe just one thing to add, ideally looking into the future, what we're gonna want to try and do is not produce too many artifacts in communication, like not too many PowerPoints, but have a couple of really substantial dynamic frameworks, like working with our strategy Kanban, and not just using that with the product managers to prioritize, so within the product team, but potentially also using that and getting stakeholders used to looking at that in an evolving way, so we don't waste time setting up presentations, right? Yeah. But that's also part of that journey. Thanks. Are there any other questions?
Looks like that might be it. Let's take a moment and thank Serina, Ulrike, and Sarah for their lively conversation and chat today about living a digital product strategy. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thanks so much for having us.
Pleasure. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.